Welcome to We Need to Talk, the podcast that features a series of conversations aimed at shedding light on issues surrounding women. I am your host, Glenneva Hodge, and this is a space where women can discuss the issues we've been forced to barely whisper. As women, we know we need to talk means things are at a point where they must be addressed now. So join us as we tackle conversations that are necessary, even if they make you slightly uncomfortable. Welcome back to another episode of We Need to Talk. I am thrilled to have with me today Ms. Tara Carter. She is a lawyer, a mother, the founder of Lead Her Network, and a 2024 Women's Week honoree on inspiring women. And so today we're going to continue our conversation on what it means to inspire women to accelerate progress. So grab a drink, grab some snacks, settle in, because this is We Need to Talk, and we're going to get this conversation started right now. Tara, welcome to We Need to Talk.
Thank you, Glenneva. Thank you for the invite. I appreciate being here with you on your new venture.
Thank you, and congratulations to you as well on both being a Women's Week honoree this year here in Anguilla, and your venture, your nonprofit, Lead Her Network. It has been exciting seeing some of the work that you have already produced, and I am really looking forward to more from the Lead Her Network. The women in Anguilla are really hyped up and excited, and I must say, it's not just the women. I see that you have brought the men on board as well, because we do not believe in leaving them behind, I'm certain. And so just tell us a little bit more about Lead Her, yourself, and what led you to this point.
Okay, thanks, Glenneva. So I'll first start on Lead Her and how we got to this. As you announced, I am or was a practicing lawyer. I'm transitioning out, which people don't like to believe me, but I am. I've been back in Anguilla for 18 years. I studied in Canada and then I came home. So I spent quite a lot of years doing litigation, land disputes, construction disputes. And recently I realized that there was a gap in knowledge and resources and education for women, especially in terms of investing. When I came back in 2007, it was just before the crash, economic crash. And there was a lot of activity, economic activity. There were land loans. I don't know if you remember, you might not remember, but it was I remember CCB back then had the 911 land drive, and a lot of women had taken advantage of it. I think it was like 9% interest. The interest rates were really high.
Okay, I was still after school during that.
You would have been in school.
Yes.
But in 2006, actually, when I came back, we were at the height of being able to buy land. In 2007, I had bought my first piece of land. I was 27 years old. And then I realized as we had all these different economic shocks, we went into Irma, we went into COVID, I realized that really the demographic of my age wasn't able to do a whole lot in terms of investing. So I started to see that women needed a lot more confidence and resources. And it sat on me, especially doing litigation where women in construction projects were taken advantage of, unfortunately. And it was really a lack of knowledge.
Yes, I can think of so many stories, mine included.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
You know, as women, really, it is something that I don't think that we were necessarily trained to think about in construction.
Yeah. No, we were raised to think that it is a male-dominated field and that we should not get involved. And I remember, Otto Doc will remember this, I was always defiant in high school. So yes, I was studious, but I was defiant. And I felt one day, I don't want to do clothing and textiles. And I signed up for auto mechanics. And everybody was like, why are you in auto mechanics? And I just felt like, well, who says that it has to be boys only? And I remember my good friend, Eva Hodge. And if you think back on where Eva started in building technology and all of those technical subjects. And today she is in a male-dominated field in electrical something, but
Yes,
it's
yes.
electrical engineering, but she went on to specialize in
Oh.
something highly specialized in a male-dominated field. So it's really what you say, like what we teach our young girls in school, that we needed to do food and nutrition. I hate cooking. And I
that's
make no
fine.
apologies for saying I hate cooking. I love eating, but I hate cooking, and I did not want to do food and nutrition.
And that is absolutely funny. And you know, it's interesting that you say that, because I think it really a shift happened somewhere along the line, and I'm certain it took women like yourself when you were in school to push the status quo and say, why can't I do these technical subjects I know today? My daughter included. There are a number of girls doing building technology, metalworks, automotives. Even when she switched and she started in the public school system, and she signed up to do automotives, and I was like,
Good for her.
It was a subject that she absolutely loved the most, and so she's continued along with that. So it really takes somebody to say, how do we break the status quo, and how do we make sure that the persons behind us also benefit from that?
Yeah. I have a niece, she's doing very well in the building subjects as well, and the architectural subjects. So I feel that we were able to break that stigma somewhat, and still find ourselves in traditional fields. So we do have female architects. But when I heard that Cleve Richards' daughter was coming back as a project manager, and I know another project manager, Debbie Winter, I started to think, well, okay, why don't I, and I'll tell you where it came from in terms of the construction feature. I had started construction in 2017, and thankfully I had very good, strong male support, my dad, my brother, but I recognize that a lot of people don't have that support. In fact, I remember approaching a well-known contractor, and he kind of hurt my feelings because I said to him, hey, why don't you come and participate in what we're doing with women? He said, women? He said, you know, you're only successful in construction because of your dad. And I was like, well, I kind of like know stuff myself, but okay. But that was the stigma even of a young contractor and his perspective towards women. That was in about October. And fast track to today, I feel like we're starting to break some real ground, because I ran into one of my cousins who's a well-known plumber the other day, and he was driving across the road, and I didn't even know he had Instagram. And he said, cuz I love what you're doing on that show. He said, I tune in, and it's so good that women are now being exposed to these things, because he said women get taken for a ride. And I know that. I've represented women in many construction disputes that didn't know how to control their quantities, and the materials and the cost of labor were marked up significantly just because they figured the woman didn't know any better.
Again, I can think of so many of my friends, any of them who have gone into and have ventured into being able to build. And I'll say this, not many have been able to do it. You know, and that is just a reality of where we are at as well. But for those of us that have been able to, I can recall when I was building the space that I have, I wanted a large walk-in closet, and I make no qualms about wanting a closet that can hold my clothes and my shoes.
Of course.
It was something that was very important to me.
Yeah.
And I had persons, again, surrounded by men. Why you don't turn this into a bedroom? You could have an extra bedroom.
You're wasting space.
You're wasting space. And I really felt like my voice was not being heard. And, you know, I'm thankful that I was raised to not be a bit of a pushover. Yeah. And so I was able to put my foot down and go, no, this is what I want. You're being paid to put what I want. Please continue. You know, I really enjoyed working with my architect. He understood what I wanted. He drew it, and I'm like, why are you now coming after I have my plans drawn the way that I want them and telling me I don't deserve a large closet? I have to live in it.
And it's what you want.
And it's what I want. It's a house that I have to, it's a major investment. It's a house that I have to live in.
Yeah, yeah. That's been coming out and I feel, so our first show was the first week of November. We're now at March and we've done a show every month. Cleve Richards and his daughter have been so gracious. In fact, they are so excited every month to sign on. And what we've been doing in our shows, we're doing a simulated experience of building a house. So we started with the plans. One show we discussed all the things you need to ask your architect. One of the big takeaways from that was that you need to buy your own measuring tape, because if you can't appreciate distances, then you're going to end up with rooms that are too big or too small, right? And then we went from there. The next show we did the foundation coming out of the ground. And the numbers grew. Every month we'd have 70 people on, 60 people on, men and women, because there are men that now say, I learned things as well, which I'm very happy about. I learned things because Cleve and Shamika have really gone down to all the technical aspects. We did the plumbing, then we did the masonry, the running the blocks, and people have been taking away real practical tips to go on their project and say, show me how many, show me my septic tank. Do you have 3 chambers? Why do you have 2 chambers? And my drawing says that we did a show just on septic tanks. And I said, this is not a sexy show, but by the time we were done, people were stressed, like, oh my God, if my septic tank does not have 3 chambers, I'm gonna have soak away problems. And they were able to go away. You know, so it's been a really good experience for me because I'm getting to interact with mostly women, and some of them bring along their partners. We meet, we look at the drawings, and then they have been able to tap into, as it says, the network of people that can be resources.
Awesome.
Right?
Be sure to tell the people where they can find you.
We do our show through the Instagram platform only. And I know I have people that are not happy that it's Instagram. The truth is, I can't walk and talk at the same time. So I can't run Facebook and I can't run Instagram. So it's on Instagram and it's under the handle Lead Her 264. And then the schedule goes up every month with what the topic is going to be that we're discussing. So this month, I'm still going to narrow down the details, but where we are this month, everyone wanted to know what's this thing about prefabricated houses, because costs are an issue and the cost of building is not for the weak. It's really expensive, as you know, and we're trying to find more economical ways, but still sustainable ways to build. So I've challenged Bonnie Bloom, who actually has a prefab house that she's lived in for 30 years. Yes. She was on the live, right? And people comment, it's interactive. And on the live, she drops that comment in. So I said, hey, want to be on the next show? We're trying to do it at the end of the month, but we'll see, because people want to now know if this is another route that they can go to save on costs and still get something that's sustainable and viable. So I have Cleve and Shamika looking at their schedule to see when they can accommodate that.
Definitely tuning in. Really encourage our listeners to tune in. You know, even if you already have a house, this may be a huge opportunity for the investment. It's something that I'm interested in, and definitely looking forward to that. And you know, with construction, I know you started as with the construction talk. Is you said you started the first one in November. But I remember seeing in January, we moved on to the Lead Her network.
Yes. So I'll tell you where the Lead Her came from. So I try to be very collaborative, because as people feed into me things that they would like, I just run with it. So in December, I woke up one day and I said, I want to have a pajama party. I love Christmas and I decorate the office all the time. So I said, well, let me do a Christmas pajama party to bring all these women that have been logging in together in the same room so that they can actually meet face to face who these women are. So you have bankers that you see them every day, you don't know their name, you know they work in the bank, and I wanted them to come out from behind their desks and meet women who they can say, here's how you apply for a loan, here's what total debt service ratio means, here's how you need to do your budget. So I got a panel of about 7 women. The first question they asked is, do they have to order their pajamas? And the answer was yes. So they bought their pajamas. And then the second question was, well, why would people want to talk to me? And they didn't realize that they were walking around with all these valuable resources in their heads, taking it for granted that everybody else knows how to apply for a loan and document their budgets and income. And it was really eye-opening. I thought that we were going to cater for 25 people, and by the time we grew, it was 53 people packed into my office. We had a caterer. We used female caterers. We used Kayla's Pizza, and Karima,
Delights.
Delights.
Yes.
It was awesome. And then I approached some friends. I approached men only to help sponsor. So it was a low budget event. I went to 5 men and I said, I need $100 from you, and I need $100 from you. And I had gotten to, I think we pulled it off for $1,000.
Nice.
But one of the guys that donated, he said, you should think about doing this as a registered nonprofit if you're going to need funding. And I said, the lawyer and me, you're absolutely right. Because at the time I was on the Financial Services Commission, so I ought to have known. So I spent my Christmas documenting the bylaws and actually setting up the formal structure to launch it as a nonprofit, because I figured if we organize properly, we could raise the profile, raise awareness, and attract funding.
Awesome. I actually like that. And in the spirit of collaboration, my head is already churning on how GLH Productions and Lead Her can collaborate. And I think our paths align with the financial services and really encouraging women to go ahead and figure out how they can sign up for their own nonprofits.
That's really the gravamen, as we say, of Lead Her as a network, because I'm trying to encourage women to take very bold steps, but calculated, bold steps, and to tap into the right resources. So out of the pajama party, a network happened between 2 women that were able to make a collaboration on a project that they're running with. There were people that were able to connect with, we had an auctioneer there, K Gums. There were people that were able to connect with K and learn how to buy property on auction and was able to buy property on auction. So since we launched and we did those networks, we've had land purchases from some women. We've had them boldly apply for loans and qualify and buy houses. We've had some start businesses that we were able to help do their business plans. Our treasurer is Ms. Zulika Fraser, who runs Fraser Consulting. It's an accounting firm, and she was able to give her time to help just the basics. How do I do a budget? So I'll tell you, we did a lot of backtracking because, as you said rightly, Glenneva, we started with construction, but now we have morphed into a whole lot more, and there's a reason why we got there. So my thing was that as I sent people to the bank to get loans, some came back very discouraged. And that was, as we know, like the bank is not fun. They were discouraged because they went in and they just got hard nosed. No, just very callous. And nobody wanted to sit and say, well, let's see what you have and let's see how to work to get you to where you are. So that's when I pulled back and I said, I don't want people to be unrealistic in their expectations. Maybe we need to start discussing money first and how you're managing your money before we run off telling you, go buy a piece of land.
So we starting at the basics.
We went back. We had to backtrack a little bit.
So in terms of building, we're now at the foundation.
We're back to the foundation. We had to come right back down.
So that's where we're at. We
went back to the foundation because we have to be realistic with our budgets and our ability to service debt, and we have to take responsible debt. So in January, you'll see we started to shift a little bit, and a lot of the conversation now is on financial literacy and money management. Because if we can't get our money right, we cannot invest in those future goals. So we're back to the foundation. So we're still running the construction show, but there's still a grouping that wants to participate in. So we had a webinar last week on caption, what is your relationship with money? And we had 51 people signed on, young and middle age, younger people. It was really, really good. It was good conversation.
It happened on a day that was a recording day. So I missed out, but I was really tuned into some of the conversations that were happening around that. And I was really excited. And I know I saw questions about where are you spending your money most? And
Shein, Fashion Nova, Amazon,
food,
eating out.
I try not to purchase impulse buys, and I think that was a really good question. It's like, what are you impulse buying? And if I may, and I look back at this year, I think a lot of my money has been spent in, it's been spent in clothes, but they have been investments.
Yes, you're visible. You have to do that.
So it is about, but not just investment. It's about how do I ensure that they give me wear across different areas. So
Yeah.
I have to go to work. I have to come here.
Yeah, of course.
I have to go other places.
Yeah.
How can they be multi-use? I have to invest in doing this. So I don't think I've done
Impulse.
my impulse buys are not material.
Okay.
My impulse buys are travel.
Okay. Yeah, we had a lot of ladies on that talked about travel.
Yeah.
I heard a good point yesterday from Zulika Fraser. So after that show, Zulika and I were invited to do a radio show yesterday with Money Matters, led by Dr. Terrence Martin in St. Kitts.
Okay.
And she made a good point on the show when we were talking about impulse buys. And she said, your impulse, the things that you want to spend money on as a splurge for you needs to be written into your budget. Because your budget might be able to accommodate your weaves and your lashes and your, but you have to have it in there. So, every month my budget does allow me, after I have my savings taken out, pay my bills and my obligations, and I do have a little bit of money that I can do these things. If you don't put it in your budget, then you're not accountable for all that fun money. So it's just not to deprive yourself. We got to still live and have a great time, but moderation and write it into your budget.
Great.
So in your budget, like for me, I love eating out. So in my budget needs to have a line item, dining expense, outside dining expense.
So I'm going to do another shameless plug. This is a day of shameless plugs. I know Fit Dish.
Yeah.
Lisa Ray.
Yeah.
She just released her monthly and weekly meal plans. And I looked at it and I looked at the cost and I go, okay, so next month I know my food. And what I like about it is because, again, most of my money gets spent on food.
Yeah.
So now if I have a set plan
Yes.
that is going to help me lose weight and help me save money, then I go, well, I think this is definitely for me.
I looked at it today and said the same thing.
How I can walk this into my existing budget.
Right. I like how she separated the different plans.
Yes.
So that you can measure, because you measure your own pocket, and if you can afford the higher plan, but like Zulika says, put it into your budget as a line item.
Yes.
I looked at that with the same thinking today.
Yes, because I go, and I broke it down because I go, okay, 10 meals, this is what 10 meals cost. Realistically, if I was to buy food, how much of my money and my budget I'm spending on food. Yeah. So love it, Lisa. Look out for my
Lisa.
farm.
Yeah.
So, and I look forward to the day when we could actually speak
and
about
that's not classified, I think, as impulse. There was some callers on the webinar that said, listen, investing in your health and your wellness is not to be seen that way anyhow. Yeah. So your impulse is an investment in your health because it saves. And we're all guilty of it. So that is, but the point that I like that Zulika made was that don't just pretend it doesn't exist. It's an expense. And if it's going to be a recurring expense, put it into your Excel spreadsheet or your app or I use a manual paper. I use Excel too. But that's how we got now to money and other issues. And then the truth is, because we're serving a wide base of women and we're now at 65 members, I kind of closed it off, but I don't know if I have, but we'll talk about that. We're at 65 members. So different members have different needs that need to be met, right? Okay. We're having our first members meeting this week on Thursday, and we're going to present our draft work plan for the year. Because what we don't want to do is we don't want to be just a one-off pajama party or a one-off Galentine's event. We want to be continuous and sustainable, and we want a succession plan so that the younger ones can come up and continue to push people forward. So our work plan will tell us things that we'd like to accomplish through the year, but some are going to be health related. Some are going to be, as you see, mental health related. Some are going to be pure health related. Some are going to be equipment related. We have a lady that runs her own heavy equipment operations, Larissa LaCarbonier.
Love it.
Her passion is to teach safety for heavy equipment. So we want to be able to create an avenue for women to run with the things that they're passionate about with our support.
Absolutely love it. And now that you've mentioned support in last week's episode, I spent a lot of time, and Shamika and I spent a lot of time speaking about what it means to invest in women.
Yeah.
And for me, investing in women begins with providing support systems.
Yes.
What does investing in women look like for you?
Right. So I hate to be cliche, but I have to go back to when I did debating, Leeward Islands debating with Mr. Foy, and this was always a famous quotation. You give a man a fish or give a woman a fish, you feed her for a day.
Yes.
You teach a woman how to fish, and you feed her for life. I just changed the gender, forgive me. But it's an old saying, it is cliche, but that point is very important to me because I want to learn how to do these things, and I want to teach people how to do these skills. So I don't want to just hand you the easy answer. I need to know that you have learned how to balance your checkbook, how to balance your expenses. I want to know that when you're finished with the construction show, you know that you need to visit your project every day, and you know the questions that you have to ask. And for me, investing in women means to be able to provide resources and support in areas that are beneficial for them. So my needs might be different from your needs, and I'm hoping that we can meet a wide cross-section of the women that we serve and build their confidence to pay it forward.
Love it, love it. And the pay it forward bit is very much in line with when Minister Kentish Rogers was on, and we spoke about breaking barriers, opening doors, and ensuring that when we open those doors, we don't close them behind us.
Yeah.
That when you get a seat at the table.
We'll stop right there with the close behind. We do have women that are closing doors behind them.
Yeah.
And that's something that really bothers me. Because, I mean, you invited me here, but you should know I'm real.
We drink the tea.
Let me give you a joke about how I always think about my real. When my sister was in high school, she went to something at Social Security as a student. And the late Mr. Hubert Hughes, who was so funny as a speaker, was speaking. And she came home. She was young. And she came home and she said, Mom, he gave a speech. And he said, these are my controlled remarks. And now I'm going to start with my uncontrolled remarks. I love it. I wish that somebody had captured that quotation because that's how I live. Like, I'm going to tell you how it is. And you mentioned this point about closing doors for women behind them. It still continues to happen in Anguilla. I'm still having to advocate for women against women that have closed doors for them.
Yes.
And I'm hoping that this shift will change because I don't think we like to talk about it because I think we try to pretend that just because we're women, we're looking out for other women. There's still a lot of women here that are not opening doors for other women.
Yes. If I can recall, it was a few years ago. There were some ladies, we would have tea, and this is when Governor Christina Stott was here. And one of the issues that we were looking at championing was extending maternity leave and including paternity leave as support. And it always struck me, I think this was and I was young, I was recently back from university. I think maybe I just starting to spread my wings in the nonprofit and volunteer space. And she said she was saddened by the fact that whenever she tried to push in those areas, it was women that were given the greatest pushback. Not only were they given the greatest pushback, the reasoning, well, I did it. I had to survive with this.
Yeah.
So why can't you? Why should I make it easier for the next person? And for me, it always struck me as strange. If you know the difficulties that you experience, why would you not want to make it easier for the next person? So that is, and again, here we like the real, because the reason we need to talk is because we need to have these really hard and uncomfortable situations, because the only way to break the mold is to acknowledge them. Publicly acknowledge, not anymore in our little quiet circles, but to publicly acknowledge and admonish that we know that it is happening, we see you, we're going to call it out.
Yeah, I actually would like to think that a lot of my support came from men. So in no way of me lead her is any way representative of diminishing the contribution of men to my career and my involvement. And I was hoping that that would change, but there's still a lot of elements of it where just to do ordinary, routine, transactional things in Anguilla is made that much more difficult
Difficult.
by not only women, but women who are your counterparts. You went to school with them and they know you.
I look forward to when we can get into those conversations
Yeah.
about the societal pressures and what it is that leads to this innate competition that we seem to have amongst women.
Yeah.
That is a conversation that I look forward to. Maybe that'll be one of our lives. I'll bring you back as a panelist and we have.
I'll come.
Yes, but these again, it really is the goal and the aim of we need to talk to bring these conversations to the fore so that persons, again, a lot of behaviors when left unchallenged, they continue.
Yeah.
But when you
Well,
give
I'm ready
light
to challenge Glenneva
Yeah.
because in order to empower women, we have to call it out. And one of the things that I called out, you'll remember Miss Sherman Francois, I think Vaughn now, when she was here, she didn't know me. And she called me one day, I was away, and she said, "Oh, I've been driving past your building and they told me that this is you and I wanted to introduce myself and I was hoping we could do business with you at her bank." Bank names is unknown, will remain unnamed. And I said, "Well, Mrs. Francois, I would love to do business with you, but I was left with a very bad taste in my mouth when I tried to do very basic, minimal business. One, because I had no money, I had no big, bright career, and all I wanted was $20,000, and they made me feel like I had to give 2 kidneys and a lung, and treated me with a lot of discourtesy. And it was a young woman that knew me very well. There was no real, genuine effort to meet me halfway and to explain to me, you can't qualify, and these other reasons." And that has been repeated throughout my time back from school, where I found myself on the receiving end of very harsh attitudes from women my age because they have a certain position or they have a certain hold on you. And it hasn't been a very good experience because it makes you become a certain way that you don't want to be. So one of the things I've been mentoring a lot of women in their 20s and trying to give them the courage to go back to the bank, have the conversation, do the homework from home, do your budget, know where you stand financially, but you almost have to advocate for yourself even harder when you're dealing with women.
Yes. It is such an unfortunate reality that we face. And again, we're providing those hurdles. I am interested. What was Mrs. Vaughn's response?
Her response was that she brought me onto the panel to do that money thing, financial literacy. It was actually a year ago because I saw it pop up.
Oh,
and it was a great financial literacy course at the Music Academy.
Yes.
And when she brought me to do that, I said, "Do you really want me to go and do this? Because if you give me a mic, I'm going to say things that are going to step on people's toes." Whenever I go to any financial, it's happened in both financial institutions, you always get a certain attitude when you're dealing with women. Some women, okay, and I want to single out a woman. I'll single her out now because she was on Facebook this week. Rose Hyder Carty at Republic before Scotia was always phenomenal to deal with. When I was in my 20s, she didn't make me feel like a child. She was always collaborative. She's always willing to sell products. So there are women that are still meeting you, halfway, but there are a large proportion that kind of greet you with this disdain. Almost like in their head, they're saying, "Well, who do you think you are to think that you can do this?" Yeah. And it really does a toll on your confidence as a young woman trying to invest and do something meaningful in Anguilla. So now I'm big sistering these young women and I'm saying, if you need me to go to the bank with you, I'm going to go with you.
Love it. Love it. And for me,
not as a lawyer, because I'm not a lawyer anymore. I'm going with you as a big sister to help you navigate through something that throws hurdles at you rather than hold your hand.
Great. So we have to wrap up.
Oh, yeah.
The time, it really
Oh,
flies.
it does fly.
It really does fly. But I want to give you the opportunity to speak about something that the people have been buzzing about.
Okay.
You know, we have been all buzzing and excited since you made a big splash announcement on social media.
Yes.
Looking forward to Mental Health Month in Anguilla. I look forward to Mental Health Month, and that is in May. When here on We Need to Talk, we are going to be talking about mental health the entire month of May. Yes. Go ahead.
Thank you for that opportunity. Thank you for that opportunity.
This.
So I did some sessions during the Women's Week on work-life balance. And I think I spoke to cumulatively 200 women at least between most of the major hotels. And the constant line that resonates is, how do we find balance? Who do we talk to? And I think that we have this very small island cultural feeling that mental health awareness means crazy. In fact, somebody used that word today and said, Anguillans aren't interested in anything crazy. And if people are still on that mindset, then we have a whole lot of work to do. I received a phone call from Ms. Lavelle Niles, who informs me that mental health awareness is now going to be brought under chronic diseases as an NCD, non-communicable disease. It is an issue. It is something that we have to talk about. There's depression, there's bipolar disorder, there are personality disorders, there are behavioral issues. There's just downright, depression, anxieties. Yes. And these are things we don't want to talk about. So we reached out to Julie Mango. Her handle on Instagram is @IamJulieMango. She has 600,000 TikTok followers, 397,000 Instagram followers, and she is excited to come to Anguilla to conduct a session. It's going to be at the Anguilla Football Association Stadium, May 25th at 7 p.m. The tickets are on sale online. Log on to www.leadhernetwork.org. Thank you.
Tara, I know you have mentioned, and I want to zone back in on the tickets a little bit.
Okay.
And I know you have pushed that they will be online only tickets.
Yeah.
The PRO of the Anguilla Enhancement Project in me, I absolutely love the sustainability factor of that. Paperless, the ease. And I also like that you offer support for persons who may not be up to speed with the technology to purchase these tickets, but who may want to attend. So I absolutely love that it is not just, well, I'll throw you out there, you figure it out. No. You have those support systems in place.
Well, we're going to do Glenneva closer to the event, which I didn't want to spoil people and make them wait, because it's better to get your early bird tickets now. They're $25. You can't beat that having an internationally known social media influencer. But closer to the event.
Do we have enough space? Because I can see this being a sold-out event.
We have space. Football said, Tara, you guys could have the whole stadium. It seats 1,200 people, okay?
There we go.
For the support, though, I don't want people to get spoiled. Go online, do as much as you can online. We have Miss Kaya Fleming, and I put her email out there. Her email address is out there. If you run into a jam, email her on the website. If you still need support, we're going to have public settings maybe on the Strip on a Saturday, closer to the event, where you come and there'll be a kiosk. So you can actually run if you don't have a card, we'll assist you with your card. You bring your money and we'll do that. But let's leave that for people that really need the help. It's time that we move into 2024.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you for having me.
Tara, thank you. Thank you so much for being here with us. This has been a very enlightening conversation. I really encourage our listeners to follow you, Lead Her Network 264.
Oh, Lead Her 264.
Right. So it's Lead Her 264 on Instagram. Tune in for your construction talk. Tune in for money talks. Tune in for mental health awareness and all of the things that you will continue to do here in Anguilla for women and men. Because one of the things is, when we support our men in ways that they know how to support women, it's a help for all of us.
Yes.
So absolutely love that. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of We Need to Talk. That's a wrap. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe on all of our social media channels. Episodes are available on YouTube and on our Facebook page. Follow us on Instagram. We post our little updates there, and we're going to soon start having follow-on conversations on our socials after each episode. So again, thank you for joining us. Until next time, because we need to talk.